Hello and welcome to another episode of How to Be a Better Gamer with Hodpad in Game of War Fire Age. And hello and welcome to Game of War Guru on YouTube. This day's episode is going to be coming to you as a direct answer to a fan of mine, Super Ziggy79. Wanted to know some basic tips for attacking other players and other empires. So today I'm going to give a basic breakdown of what you need to be looking for, what you need to be careful of, which boosts to focus on, which troops to send. A lot of answers. There's probably a lot of things still going to be up in the air, questionable after this episode. These are just, I'm just going to be covering basics, really. And first we're going to have to explain, there's two different troop types now. And normal troops are going to be more well-rounded. They have a good attack and good defense and health. Strategic troops, as far as their description, they don't really give you exact information in the game as far as what their attack is, what their health is, and what their defense is. I run a lot of reports on different troops, different scenarios, and I've categorize them and will later come out with more precise information on how all of the troops function and what you can expect from different battles and outcomes even before the battles happen. This information is a lot more advanced than what we're going for here. Right now I just want to make sure a beginner understands the strategic troops. It's always going to be a very strong versus a certain type, and then weak versus all other three types of troops. So basically what you're going to get here is a strength and three other weaknesses, whereas normal troops are only going to have are strong against two different types, in this case infantry and siege. All of the troop types are good against siege. Strategic troops, however, are only strong against the one type. It doesn't say anything about siege on those. So what the strengths and weaknesses mean in a very broad summary is going to be, if you attack a bunch of swordsmen with your slingers, then the swordsmen are not going to do as much damage to the slingers as they would the same amount of outriders. Swordsmen are good against outriders. I mean, this is like a rock, paper, scissors game. In the normal troop section, that's all you're doing. Rock, paper, scissors. This troop is good against this one and bad against the other one. And it goes around in circles. I'm not going to explain them all. You can click on your own troops and look at the stats and figure all this out. But all three of the troops here are good against siege. Strategic troops are also good against siege, but they're at least not weak versus siege. It is basically what I'm getting at. But they have a stronger attack. So if anybody's played other games, what I describe strategic troops as are glass cannons, which basically means they're offensively tweaked to do a lot of damage, but they're real easy to kill. This probably means that the creators have placed a lower value on their health or defense in the strategic section than they have in the normal section. So if you're going for more of a defensive play, you want more health so that your troops don't get killed quite as easily. Normal troops is definitely the way to go. But if all you care about is kills, you just want to win the battle, no matter what the cost, no matter how many troops you die and have to replenish later, strategic troops may be the way to go. I don't know, there's two different play styles here, basically, is what it boils down to. And so, to move on, when you are searching for people to attack, and when you find somebody, or when somebody teleports near you, you want to make sure you scout the person. Now understand, when you scout players in this game, that is considered an act of war. Their alliance members may retaliate even for you just scouting them. So be sure that you will follow up, most likely, with an attack before you scout. A good thing to note is if I scouted a player, say this dude right here, which is probably a farm, but if I scouted this player and he has a whole bunch of traps, but all of his troops are out gathering, then I want to attack this city or empire with siege to kill the traps. I will lose less troops this way, and I will kill a whole bunch of traps compared to if I sent any of the other three troop types, because siege are obviously better against traps. Now if he doesn't have any traps and he's got, let's say 40,000 infantry, but he only made maybe 10,000 or so of the other two troop types, cavalry and ranged, then chances are I want to attack him with more ranged troops than anything, because you're going to get a bunch of kills on his infantry, even though he does have a few cavalry to counter your ranged. That's the ranged weakness, is cavalry. You want to stack the odds in your favor, because the majority of his damage in that scenario is going to come from his infantry, because that's the higher count of troop that he has in his city. So if you have a higher ranged count in your march than any of your other troop types, then you're going to get a bunch of kills, and he's going to either lose a bunch of power or you'll steal a bunch of resources. Either way, you'll definitely win the battle. And if you're attacking a tile, it's pretty risky sometimes if players actually use the items in the gold store. I'd like to mention these because some players don't think these are very prevalent in the very beginning of the game. But in the gold store, we've got peace shields, and we've got anti-scouts, and this is what I wanted to get to. Anti-scouts are actually pretty dang useful. Some players like to send full marches to a given tile so they can gather safely, supposedly. Even though their troops can be killed, they have a full march there instead of just 10,000 troops gathering or so. So they're a little bit protected just because of the number of troops there, and usually if they're heroes, they're decked out with troop boosts to benefit the troops that are there gathering. Then anybody who attacks them and doesn't know what's there may think, oh, well, there's only going to be 5,000 troops there, so they send, 80,000 thinking that's enough. But if that was a level 21, then they could have up to 250,000 troops there or more if they use a March increase. But some players do this. Some players try to bait you into attacking him in this way, gathering around your hive, your empire. So be sure and click on the person, even if there's a march out on a tile gathering, which I'm sure I can find one here pretty soon. You know, it'll show that the player's name. You could scout them, but again, you don't want to because that's an act of war. The first thing you should always do is check their profile, and you want to check their power rating, how many kills they've got. Always compare. If you always check somebody's kills, then you can honestly figure out who the players are who don't attack and don't want to attack. They just want to gather and build and be economical. And you can definitely tell the players who are real crafty, sneaky, and want kills and actually try to kill people. And more often than not, you want to avoid attacking those type of players unless they are gathering without an anti-scout, and you can scout them, number one, tell what they've got, and counter it effectively, so you don't lose as many troops. So real quick, I mean, we can see his power, and if you even want to go farther, you can check their hero. Now, this player is probably a farm. I'm guessing, unless they just started the game. I mean, I'm on a kingdom that's 5 months old or more now, and if that's the only things that they've crafted for their hero, then yeah, they don't ever play on this account, and they're just kind of shooting the breeze here. It's most likely a farm, which seems kind of odd because those aren't typical farming equipments that I would personally shoot for, but whatever. So yeah, I mean, you can check their equipment even and see greens, which rarity types each one of their equipments are. And I mean, if I had the time, if he's not going anywhere, if he's not moving off the tile, if he just got there, if I saw him just land on that tile and start gathering, I mean, I could sit here and research all this stuff. I could check his equipment, go back to my forge, look it up, look up what stats that all of these rarity types have, and jot them down, write them down on a piece of paper if you want. And you can quickly figure out which stats, I guess you could say, this particular player is after. I mean, if most of their attack boosts on all of these pieces of equipment are for ranged, then if he's got an anti-scout on, I would expect a bunch of ranged troops sitting on that tile. If it was for cavalry, I expect cavalry. If it was for infantry, and so on. You get my drift. So, I mean, there's a lot you can tell from just even looking at their hero. Not only that, but especially the hero level as well. So, the next thing you want to focus on is when you're attacking, you want to make sure whichever troop type you're using, I always recommend for any troop type, whichever one you decide to go with, infantry, cavalry, or ranged, I always put a health gem and a defensive gem in the equipment that I'm going to have whenever I attack somebody. I call it my war gear. Each of your 6 or 7 slots, if you've unlocked level 21 Gymnos, each of your 6 or 7 pieces of equipment personally, in my opinion, should have a health gem or defensive gem. Or both, I mean, equipped or embedded on them. And what this is going to do is it's going to prevent losses of troops. Yes, you're giving up a little bit of availability for attack boosts, but if you fill an entire march with ranged troops, and I've got cavalry gems inside this armor, then that cavalry gem is not doing me any good. But if I equip ranged, health, and defense in both of these pieces of gear, of both these Icarus wings, and I equip them, then none of that attack boost is going to waste if all I attack with is ranged. See what I'm saying? So, I mean, you can equip different pieces of gear for different purposes, or different troops even. So going back to what I was talking about earlier, the strengths and weaknesses, when you decide you need to attack with only cavalry or only infantry ranged, if you have enough troops to fill up your march, then you'll also have the equipment to back them up with the proper equipment that's not only going to increase their attack to the maximum potential, but if you've got the health and defense gems equipped along with it, you'll be able to prevent your own troops from dying as well, a little bit, as much as possible. But alas, this game is all a math calculation, so you can't prevent all your troops from dying. In most cases, you're going to lose at least a few troops. That's just the way it goes. Unless you're attacked at home, then the most you could probably lose is traps, unless you don't have enough hospital capacity for all your wounded troops to go into. So I hope this helps. I hope I wasn't too long-winded. I know I paused a few times. There will be more videos coming out later once I get all my spreadsheets and everything updated on all my troop battles and research that I've been doing since Strategic Troops came out, and I will reveal the differences between both of them, what they are, how much stronger Strategic Troops are, how much weaker they are in health and defense, and all that jazz. I will have more specific answers in the next few weeks. I appreciate y'all's patience. Please like this video if you found it helpful, make a comment, or even ask me a question. You can shoot your questions to an email, asktheguru@gameofwarguru.com, and I may even answer your questions just like Ziggy's here in later episodes down the future. Until next time.